Welcome back to the DJ Sessions, where we feature the best DJs, producers, and now violinists from around the world. I'm your host, Darren, and right now I'm sitting in the virtual studios in Seattle, Washington, and coming in halfway across the nation from New Jersey, we have Miri Ben-Ari. Miri, how's it going today?
Very, very good. It's a beautiful day, Darren, and it's great being here with you in your virtual studio.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah, it's something that we found that we like doing now that we've been able to reach out to so many more people around the world now that people know how to Zoom. A few years ago, it wasn't a common thing to do. And once we started seeing that, I created a new series called the Virtual Sessions. And, because we had to kind of do things virtually for a while, and I just kept running with it. So I love it. And I'm glad that you're here today.
I'm glad to be here too. I think COVID helped a little bit in Zooming. I mean, with all the bad things we like to say about COVID, there were a few good things, and this is one of them.
One of the good things that happened for us was before that, I used to tell people we do a live streaming DJ show and we're on Twitch. Right. And everyone would say, who wants to watch a DJ online? And I'd say, right. Well, have you ever listened to the radio? You're listening to somebody play music online on a radio show. And then a lot of people would say, well, what's Twitch? And I'd say, well, Twitch, okay, here's how it goes. You know that thing called YouTube that's owned by Google? Well, Twitch is pretty much owned by Amazon. And they go, oh, so it's pretty big. And I'm like, yes. Now you go out to everyone and they're like, oh yeah, we're a live streaming DJ show and we're on Twitch. And like, oh, I watched so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so. And oh, you're Twitch? Oh, wow. And everyone knows. But again, Zoom really did make a prevalent leap. And I think that brought people closer together because I used to do interviews in person. So unless you were coming to Seattle, I would never have gotten an interview with you. And if I did, I might get 7 or 10 minutes with you backstage.
Yes.
Now I can.
And now it's standard.
Yeah, exactly.
I did an entire Zoom campaign. We released one of our releases during COVID was Symphony of Brotherhood Rise, featuring Eric Hicks and Flo Rida. And first of all, we had to create this song, long distances, So we're like studio to studio, like on the phone for hours. And then the entire campaign with all the radio stations and then the PR and everything was Zoom. And I was in the same room, me and Flo, we were looking at each other on the screens, and that was the experience, It was awesome.
I love it. And, I finally upgraded my Zoom account so I could have more people. Actually, my friend who wrote the book, he's from Seattle. He wrote the book on how to conduct Zoom events. Literally wrote the book.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And it sold thousands and thousands of copies and holds seminars and meetings. I think one of the biggest ones they did was over 5,000 people in a Zoom conference. Oh, maybe more. John, don't get mad at me if I said that number wrong, but it was thousands of people in Zoom conferences.
What was his top tips for how to conduct Zoom events that people don't know, you think?
Engagement, making them not boring, I think one of the biggest things I got from it, if you were in a Zoom and every 10 minutes or 20 minutes, get people to stand up and do something or do something funny, and make it engaging, make it not so it's just a drone and it's a PowerPoint. Right. Here today, my PowerPoint is 0.1, 0.2, and people are like when we were doing it, we had fun with it. We would do dance parties with me and my friends. And we do Zoom dance parties. And the one thing I love doing is I always go. And everyone would be like, Darren's frozen. Yeah, no, I'm not. I was just joking. But I mean, just being creative with it and having a fun way to still network, talk with people, see people, hear people's voice, I think was huge when there was lockdowns and people coming out of that. I think even in the workplace, there's companies that are doing a lot more remote working. And, work at home and how that's helped people's lives where, if they had children, now they're maybe not having to, or commuting. They don't have to spend so much time commuting back and forth. I mean, there's some jobs where obviously this won't work, where you need more physical attention or physical presence. But, if you're working from the office, I like it. But there is also what's called Zoom fatigue.
Yes, absolutely. Because when it comes to audio, you can do all kinds of things, but Zoom, you have to be watching us in order to be in it. And it's like attention span, just like anything else. I mean, we have to compete with TV shows right now, Netflix or Hulu.
Absolutely. And, we could talk all day about virtual reality and Zoom, as we found out pre-episode. Yes. But, you're not a Jersey girl. You're actually from Israel, correct?
Yes.
When did you come over to the States?
So I was born and raised in Israel. I even did the military.
Wow.
And yes, I can shoot a gun. It's not on my resume. You did not find in Wikipedia. But that actually helped when I came here and I discovered the hip hop world, and everyone was like, "You're not afraid of everything." I was like, "Come on, man! I'm coming from Israel. I mean, what are you talking about? This is like, we have war where I'm coming from. You're talking about, So I guess that helped." But yeah, I'm from the Middle East, from a very, the Holy Land, which is also, they call it Nation of Innovation right now. Mm-hmm. A lot of amazing things are coming from Israel. It's truly remarkable place. If you've never been to Israel, you must check it out. It's really amazing. And people are awesome. And everything you hear on the news, it's not true. They do, for the most part, they do get along. And there is a lot of brotherhood and sisterhood there between the different. It's one of those places where you go, how can it even, how is it possible? And there is the saying, only in Israel, So very, very nice. And it gave me a really great perspective when I came here, not to be born and raised here. It gives you a different perspective of the world and what's possible for you and your life. Well, and yeah.
Since then, I mean, you have accomplished a lot, and I know there's more coming down the line, but Grammy winner violinist, I mean, TEDx speaker, UN Goodwill Ambassador. I mean, the countless performances and places you played. The one that strikes me the most, because this would be something I would love to do myself, is you were a TEDx speaker. And the title of that was the 4 Ways to Thrive with Harmony, correct?
Yes.
What was that experience like, being asked to be a TEDx speaker?
So that was my second TED Talk. The first one was how to make the violin cool.
Well, how do you make a violin cool?
Darren, it's COVID time and you're home and you're thinking, what can I do? What can I do? And that was one of the things I always wanted to do. I just couldn't find the time. And I had so much to share, so much to tell. And so I started with how to make the violin cool and what does it take? And this is basically my story, my crazy story, how a girl from Northern Tel Aviv came to the US and found herself in the White House, playing Symphony of Brotherhood featuring Dr. Martin Luther King because First Lady saw her on YouTube and fell in love with this composition. I mean, this is like insane. And, basically giving people tips, advices, how to think outside of the box. Mm-hmm. What does it take to think outside of the box? To dare, it takes a lot, and I really break it down. And so that was the first TED Talk. And I have to tell you yes, I do have the experience of hundreds, maybe thousands of live shows. Getting on the TED stage is something completely different. It's just different, I'm there with my violin, which is my weapon. It's something that I know very well. It's a part of me. Mm-hmm. And there I am talking. It's like, I was like, oh my God, what a different experience and what an empowering experience. Incredible. Mm-hmm. This is probably how you feel when you conduct the DJ sessions. It's the same thing. So that was the first one. And then I actually landed a few TED Talks. We sent it out. We were like, this is what I would like to talk about. And a lot of them invited me. And I was like, let me just do it during COVID because it really takes a lot to get on a stage and nail a TED Talk in a way that takes you in an interesting way through your story, and you're still sharing an idea worth telling or sharing, otherwise what's the point, and the second one is really 4 ways to thrive with harmony. And I'm talking about our very divided society that has become more and more divided. And it's something that really, really touches and bothers me. And I think I dedicated my professional career to unite, to bring people in harmony. I just mentioned my song Symphony of Brotherhood featuring Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. with I Have a Dream as a part of my song, and getting Flo Rida to do another version this year. And we're already working on the next version because this is type of legacy and idea that should be shared forever, ever, ever, And I'm from a very conflicted place in the world. And so this is my little humble contribution, I guess, through music to this work, to connect, bring people together, Black, white, Jewish, Latino. I mean, everything that you could just, and in music, we're one. No one cares. When you listen to music, music is for everyone. It's everyone can listen, everyone can enjoy. And that's the beauty.
Mm-hmm. And you were talking about getting on the stage and speaking at the TED Talks. And one of the people that I really look up to, there are actually 2 people I really look up to that I thought were always great on stage, that I kind of, when I get on stage, I mentor myself after. The first one is Steve Jobs. And Steve would get on stage, and the way he could captivate a crowd and hold them every single time he got up there. I would get shivers watching Steve.
Right.
I wouldn't even call it performance. I would just, you were just there in your living room and Steve just talking to you about this cool new stuff that's going to come out. And here's what we're going to do today, everyone. And it was such a great performance. And the second person is my father. He had always been, he was the first one that actually had me speak in church when I think I was 12 years old. And he was very affluent to public speaking and was training me for public speaking at a very young age.
Wow. This is so interesting. That was his profession. He was a public speaker.
Oh, no. He was more of a professional athlete and he was like the regional director for a few different companies. So he'd have to get up and train like district manager, regional manager, train employees on how to sell and then motivate, but also be a professional athlete and run tournaments and kind of be the spokesperson and the figurehead for that. And then later in life, did a lot of speaking engagements on social issues and things of that nature. So, I guess it kind of just fell into it was kind of natural that I got into public speaking, but I was never supposed to be on camera or on stage. But now I kind of like it and kind of a little natural. So, I always see the delivery of a TED Talk just being so on point and so precise. I'm just wondering how much planning or preparation goes into doing one of those. I mean, is it rehearsal, or do they just throw you up on stage and say, go?
It depends how good you want to be. It's just like getting on stage with a concert, I'm getting on stage with a violin. It's probably one of the most difficult instrument in the world. I mean, some say it's the most difficult instrument in the world. And I take pride because I learned classical violin with hours and hours of practice every day since I remember myself. So, I used to practice the violin, 4 hours a day when I was only, 12 years old, or even younger, going with the scales up and down. And all of this pays off when you get on stage because you got the technique, what you're doing. And, then I studied jazz, I do know, I have an idea what I'm doing when I get on stage. Same thing with TED. You need to know what you're doing. It's a delivery of being a public speaker. That's also an art. That's an art. The ability to tell a story. That's an art. It's a performance. It's a it's like the closest thing to that is almost acting, although you're not acting, you're being authentic. And this is one of the most important things about TED. You have to be very authentic. You cannot act because you have to be yourself. And your authenticity is what connects you to the audience. And that's very, very difficult thing to do in real time in front of live audience, where you have to share your powerful ideas and give the audience value. And in my case, I wanted to inspire the audience because I've been the first to do so many things with my instrument, with the violin. And I wanted them to understand my experience and what it took, that it's not something that happens overnight. It takes a lot of work. And I was talking about having elephant skin and not giving up and trying over and over again and learning and the discipline and the drive, the motivation. And I wanted them, my first TED Talk, How to Make the Violin Cool, was for a bunch of high schoolers that agreed to see me live. It was in Cape May, New Jersey. The second one was in Hickory. I think it's, South Carolina? Yeah. But yeah, it was live audience during COVID. Everyone was masked out. If you Google how to make the violin cool, or on YouTube, you can see this one. And I'm talking about my experience. How did it start, from the classical to the jazz to be overnight celebrity, that intro violin that everyone knows still to this day, to working with Kanye, with Alicia Keys, with John Legend, with Jay-Z, all the people that I worked with and in different genres, and what was that journey like, pretty much.
Definitely. And on top of it, you just won an award, 2002 Manhattan Award in the category of artist.
Yes. Oh, you know about that too.
Well, it just seems like, again, you're not just stuck into one genre. It's so phenomenal. You've taken this and you've gone into electronic music, you've gone into hip hop, you've gone into African music, working with, AfroStringz, which we'll be talking about in a little bit. I mean, it's just, you're collaborating, you're expanding the boundaries of getting it out of this classical environment and kind of bringing it to the mainstream, and you're having fun doing it, which is just awesome. And it doesn't sound like you're slowing down anytime soon.
No. As a matter of fact, I'm expanding and I'm doing so many things, because I love learning. I'm a student of this universe or metaverse, or whichever way you want to put it.
We'll talk about that in a minute.
Yeah, or not.
Or not.
But yeah, it's fascinating. And I love expanding and getting involved with different projects. I'm the one that says yes to everything. You want to do this? Yes, let's do it. I'm that type.
I've never been asked that question before by you.
Right? Exactly. So now you get it.
But if you could take a look at your list of production you've done so far over the years, which of those stands out the most to you, and why?
Oh wow, what a tricky question. Maybe this is the part I'm supposed to freeze. I don't know. I've created so much. Even if you go to my Spotify account, you can see such a diverse selection of music, from hip hop. That, by the way, a lot of my hip hop songs are the metadata is not there because they were created long time ago, and once in a while I'm being reminded that I created that song. Like, for example, if you watch Kanye West Genius, and they were talking about two words with Mos Def, that is me. And I was like, oh yeah, we did that song. That's the first song I've ever done with Kanye. That was like the session that he tested how we work together, and if there is a synergy of doing more. And if you listen, this entire song is violins, even at some point, he even wanted to take the beat off and just leave me. It came out so beautiful, And so like a lot of the stuff that I've done is not even in a metadata because it's like goes like back in the days, you know. But yeah, even Overnight Celebrity, I'm not in a metadata, you know, which is like my biggest song in a way, you know. But yeah, that is before the world has transcends into blockchain's registry. But so yeah, but you can still see a very diverse body of work, you know, from my work in hip hop, like my recent work with Fetty Wap. I did a version of Trap Queen, an Afro remix, a version of Trap Queen to my feature with Armin Van Buuren on Intense. It was the song of the year in trance music. Jose with Aventura. I love those guys. They're really amazing. We did a live concert at Madison Square Garden, and that song that we did together is streaming hard. I tell you, people love this song. And to many others, my recent collaboration with Diamond Platnumz, the king of Tanzania, we call him Simba, and he's amazing, so talented. And yeah, many other. And the very recent one with Flo Rida, Symphony of Brotherhood, Rise, featuring Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
All of them. I was going through the playlist today on Spotify when doing the research on you, and the one that just hits me out of nowhere was Intense by Armin. I was like, okay, I want to get out. I want to put my rollerblades on. I want to go work out. I want to get out of the house right now. I want to go and I want to just skate and go fast. And it was so amazing.
I love performing this song live. It's like, you know, you're like, it's so cool. And we used to open Armin's show with that. I used to actually open his entire show. So you would have like a virtual spaceship with aliens like landing on stage. And then I would be like one violin and you don't even know what to expect. And then like, boom, you know. And I still perform this song when I perform live. I have my own live performance version of Intense, where I go completely crazy on the violin. But it's still really, really nice because, you know, it starts so classically nice, you know, very structured, you know, you don't expect EDM with that intro. And then it's like, and then people start jumping up and down, and it doesn't matter even who is the audience. I can have the most uptight audience and they would go crazy once the beat drops.
Yeah. And when you're not entertaining others, what do you do to entertain yourself?
Entertaining myself. You know, I just started watching. Okay, don't make fun of me, you promise?
I won't make fun of you.
I just started watching Stranger Things season 4.
Yeah! I would never make fun of anyone for watching Stranger Things.
Okay.
When Stranger Things season 3 came out, I think I spent over the course of 5 days, I watched it 5 times through and through. I'm a huge Stranger Things fan.
Episode 7 now.
Yeah.
And this thing, Vecna, whatever it is, it's terrifying me. I'm going to sleep every night terrified. It's coming to me. Like, what is it, this thing with all the snakes and all this? It's, oh my God, it's even worse than the other creatures of the past season. So yeah, I'm really
Demogorgon and the Mind Flayer. Yep.
But aside that, I'm more into, if I may call it, spirituality. So not really entertaining. I really believe that we need to do things for ourselves, like to be grounded in this crazy world. So I really thrive to start my every day with either yoga practice or Tai Chi or Qigong. This morning I did short session of yoga, and then I did a Tai Chi lesson, you know, and I feel really it's a different frequency when you're done with all that. You're looking at the world differently. You're actually hyped. You're looking forward to the day. It does something to the brain, not to mention all the physical benefits. But it's important to love ourselves and to give ourselves that meditation, that physical activity that does good to us and also to others, because we communicate differently afterwards.
Mm-hmm. One of my friends I went to high school with, she got into Reiki a few years ago. Mm-hmm. And we were just talking. I said, oh, my mom does Reiki. You know, mm-hmm. She was like level 1 or level 2. My mom was. Mm-hmm. And I took her to the store and she goes, well, I don't know where to find information on this. So I took her to the bookstore for the first time and she got some books. Now she's like a level 3 certified Reiki master. Like, totally, yeah, it's like, and she mixes and combines some of the techniques and with things that she does with her new businesses she opened. And it's like nobody in the world is doing what she's doing, combining both. And it's just really awesome to see that and understand that, or have some basic understanding of it.
Like what does she combine? She combines.
So she used to be an esthetician.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
And so she would come in and do like skincare techniques, but combining it with like Reiki and healing and touching. And on top of that, she's developed this whole program on her own. She could probably do her own TED Talk on this stuff. Although she's just really, really phenomenal and a very awesome soul in person. And yeah, she's just kind of moved on to now it's it's sculpting. There's some type of sculpting. I can't remember the device. Just got the machines. They're like a new technology, but she combines that with both. Where most people might just go in and like, okay, we're just doing this to you. I mean, she'll combine the whole process with it and give like a whole spiritual healing experience with it. And on top of doing this, it's very interesting. I'm not one to speak on it at all. I'm like, I just see that.
I can tell. You're like, she combined that machine, and I go,
yeah, she combined this.
What machine? Which one?
It's
so many. Is it radio frequencies? Is it laser? Infrared?
It's not radio infrared. I don't think it's radio frequencies. I should know more about it, but I don't. I just know she's really super excited about it. But how she's.
But you see, what I like about that is that I like when people combining different knowledges, and this is my entire career has been around it, because I'm playing one of the oldest instruments in the world, like a classical violin, you know, and I introduced this instrument to commercial music the way that I did, you know, and after I did that, other violinists and musicians saw that as a possible thing to do, because once you hear something on the radio with an instrument, a live instrument, you start getting idea. This is what inspires you. So I cannot even tell you how many violinists came after me and other musicians, but you know, I'm kind of people call me the trendsetter again. But it all came from combining different, you know, genres, different musical ideas, different cultures. You know, I just mentioned I'm from Israel, so it's putting all together. It's the melting pot of music.
Are you really the violin goat?
Am I? You are the one to tell me.
You know, I was just doing, like I said, looking up a little things, and you know, I pull up your Instagram tab, and it doesn't say, you know, Miri Ben-Ari. It says Violin Goat, and it has a little picture of a goat on your cache. I'm like, what is a violin goat? Oh, goat. I always forget what goat means sometimes. Like greatest of all time. I'm like, what is this violin goat?
You know, you are what other people say you are. And on social media, I started noticing this is how people call me, the violin goat. And this is how other musicians and producers and violinists call me. And I was like, the violin goat. Okay, I'm the violin goat. And I just put it out there. This is how they see me. Who am I to refuse that awesome title? So thank you.
You're welcome. And now, do you take time to dedicate aspects of your life or parts of your life or your career to social issues?
Of course.
And if so, what are some of the more prevalent social issues that you like to kind of gravitate to or focus on?
Well, I just I just mentioned before, Symphony of Brotherhood. That attacks one of the biggest social issues we have today, our division, the fact that we are grouped out into all kind of, like, look at the political map right now and what's going on every day, and what's going on in the US, and the disaster, especially in the last month with shooting in school, and people have different views, and it creates even more division. And we don't seem to, I don't know, to work together very well for some reason. I think there's a lot of history in this country, a lot of pain, a lot of discrimination still. I say it out loud. There is two different things. You can have a constitution, you can have implementation of the constitution, and two different things. And I hear the stories all the time, and it hurts me, and so this is something that I dedicated. This is my purpose. I see myself as a bridge. This is why I joined. Also to be Goodwill Ambassador of Music to the United Nations, because this is a bridge. Music is the common thing. I don't even know how to call it. That pulls people together. It's beyond words. It's stronger. It's emotion. It's connectivity. It's the annex between things, and it brings up together. This is harmony, they call it harmony for purpose. Mm-hmm. And so I've been involved with so many projects that have to do with campaigns, with concerts, that bring people together and show that the differences are okay. We don't need to agree with everyone we don't need to agree about everything that everyone says. It's okay to disagree, but there are ways to disagree. So it's like, in music, this is one of the things that I showed during my TED Talk, is how in music, we're almost, by virtue, we're forced to play together, to jam together. And the more we listen to each other, and the more we play with each other, the better we do as a whole. And I do some experiment with the audience. I let them clap. We create this song together, and I show them how a group of people on violin, we can actually create an art piece together, a music piece together, and because we listen, we became one, and no one cared at that point of he's better or it didn't matter. We're one group, we're one, and it worked. And they were, when we finished that experiment, you had to see the audience. They were like, it was like euphoric. They were like, holy, we just created this song together. How did that happen? We're not even musicians. And it did happen because we made an effort, and we made an effort to play together in harmony. And all it takes is that power of will. You need to want it. And that was my TED Talk, I guess. Idea worth sharing.
No, what you said there literally sent shivers. Aww. And it reminded me of this experience when I saw Prince play when I was younger, about 20 years ago. And he's in the middle of a show, he's playing piano, and he just stops and he goes, I want everyone to start going like this.
Right.
And the whole crowd it's silent. And everyone's
That's the best.
And then he goes, stop. And everyone stops. And he goes, you know what that's called? And he goes, an orgasm.
Oh.
And the whole crowd just went, it just felt like, whoa. It was just so amazing.
So awesome.
I'd never seen. So, you're right, that collective experience. And I talk about this often with DJs and producers about, electronic music, or music has words, but music that doesn't have words, it transcends so many different language barriers, because I could not speak a word of Portuguese or Chinese or whatever the language is, but we're all still hearing the exact same sounds.
And everyone speaks violin, by the way.
And everyone speaks violin. and that in itself, when you don't have to translate words from English to another language or out of another language into English, where it can get a little convoluted by meaning, the music just itself is instrumental, has an instrument, like what you do with the violin. It transcends that. We both are feeling that.
I sometimes watch my audience when I perform, and it just, oh wow, it's such an experience. You know, I you know what, at the beginning of my path, I used to get on stage and close my eyes, you know, because this comes from jazz. It's like deep, like listening. And it took me a second just to open my eyes and look at the audience, just to be able to concentrate and also be with the audience. And it's so awesome looking at the faces when I perform and feeling the energy, the connectivity. I don't even know, like I feel like we talk without words, you know. It's just so amazing. And you know, you spoke about Prince. I actually met Prince at the very beginning of my journey. So I was performing with Jay-Z. I believe it was in Memphis. It was, I think, one of the very first live pay-per-view show. I think he did the first hip hop show like that. And it was also a boxing match with Tyson, and then we flew all night, and it was a Grammy party, and I was performing and Kanye was performing. I remember that too, and Prince was right there. It was like round tables, and it was the very first table. He was sitting there and crossing his legs. And, you know, I grew up in Israel, so a lot of the names I didn't know, but everyone knew Prince. And he was like almost as close as I am to the screen right now. I mean, it was right there. And I looked at him and I was like, wow, this I'm playing for Prince. This is insane. You know, just the notion that you're on stage and Prince is listening to you. What an honor. I was freaked out over that. So, yeah, that's my Prince story.
In addition to other things, I recently saw a video of you, and it looked like you were on the runway. And yes. Fashion. Do you do fashion modeling as well, or how important is fashion to you? Tell us a little bit about that.
So I've done a lot of campaigns, a lot of campaigns. I guess I model, but I'm more like artist first and then model, you know. I mean, I've been kind of modeling while playing the violin for years and years. My first one, actually, one of the first companies that gave me a break was Macy's Passport, if you remember it, in LA. And it was like, you know, it was the first time someone ever seen an instrumentalist on stage. I was modeling for Echo. Remember Echo Unlimited?
Echo Unlimited, wow! Echo
Unlimited. I was a child, and they were the very first company that sponsored me. I'll never forget. It was so cool. But since then, I've gotten everywhere. You know, I've worked with everyone from Donna Karan to I've done Zach Posen fashion show, which was a lot of fun. And I've done a lot of advertising campaigns. So I guess every time you do something, you're modeling, you become a model, and it's okay. I mean, I think beauty and good music go together. So if that commercial world of modeling and beauty helps me share my music, why not?
And how about your dance videos? Do you have like crazy dance moves? Did you come up with those dance moves? Is that something new you're experimenting with, or is like, I saw this awesome, it reminded me of like the Fly Girls from In Living Color, you know, and you're up there just rocking it out, you're dancing, you know, is that something that we would normally see Miri do, or is this a new
so
twist?
I can actually dance. I can do I can social dance. I know a lot of social dance styles. I can even tango. And salsa and bachata and all of those, you know, it's fun. I guess during COVID, Since we all had time and there was no audience, we all did things that we wouldn't otherwise. So I started. I was just, we were all going crazy, and and there was me and my child, Darrell, who was holding. We're in quarantine, and he's holding the iPhone and videotaping me, and he goes, "Mom, shake it." That's how it started. My child. And I go, "What?" He goes, "Mom, come on, move. We have to make this, this is fun." And this is how I realized that, this is kind of cool. I enjoy it. So yeah, I think, things that kids make us do awesome.
Is he now a cinematographer in training now? Did that launch his career? Is he going to become the next Lucas or Spielberg? Or
he's too young for that, but he's going to, maybe become one. He's going to do whatever he wants to be doing. He has a lot of imagination. He's very, very, very talented, amazing child. And he inspires me a lot also to give to this world. Mm-hmm. It really gives you an incredible perspective on what's going on in the world when you have to be on the up and up all the time from your professional eyes and a child's eyes. It's awesome.
And, speaking of stage presence, being on stage, do you become a different person, or even in front of the camera, do you become a different person when you get on stage in front of the camera? Do you become a different person when you're off stage, or is Miri 100% of the time?
I've been told that I transform when I'm on stage. It's very interesting. I think I almost have, when I get on stage, and it's weird to explain, I almost have like no thoughts. Does it make sense to you? I empty and I just zone with the music. And because I play a musical instrument, I guess people don't get to know me like they get to know me while doing an interview. However, in the TED Talk, I didn't stop talking because that's the entire idea of delivering a TED. Am I the same person? People tell me that I am. People usually, you are the way that other people view you and what they tell you. That's the feedback. So people always tell me you're such a grounded person. It's usually what they say, like really ground to earth. This is like the adjectives that they give me. I think it has to do with the fact that I'm from Israel. So I didn't grow up on that celebrity culture, I did not. To me, it doesn't really, I don't really understand it in a way. And I'm an entrepreneur, so that has to, you cannot be caught up in that world. It's not a happy world. If I practice yoga every day, it's not the same frequency. So yeah, I believe I'm the same person probably.
No, I can relate. I mean, when I used to go dancing at clubs and I always had to be up on the stage or up on a platform, I didn't feel like dancing in the masses. I just didn't get the range. I like to kind of move a lot a bit. But you're right. When you get on that stage, you get into that zone.
Right.
And the zone was the music, hearing the beats, hearing what I was doing. And then I didn't really ever have a routine. I danced completely organic when I dance. No formal training, no nothing out there. I mean, I don't look weird. I've been told I'm a very phenomenal dancer. I have to see you
dance. Can you do some moves?
No.
You just said that you have to, in order to make the Zoom interesting, you gave me like a few tips. You said the first thing is like you have to break the monotony. So there, I already did the freeze. There you go.
Oh, sorry, we had to come back for the interview. We're having technical difficulties. Sorry, I tried to do something, but it happened when it was frozen. No, I just get up there and do what I want to do. But getting in that zone and being in that zone and then being able to be in that zone for 2-3 hours at a time, and it's just the music, me dancing, and you're looking out over that crowd because you're up on a platform, and you can't get up on the platform and just like.
Right.
You got to perform. You got to add to the show. And and you guys just people going,
gotta let the freak out.
Yeah, what's that person? What is that person? And they just keep going and going. And I wanted to be that person because that's what I saw in the clubs, like a performer. And, you know, I've never been a musician or a stage performer in that sense, but unless I was out dancing in the nightclubs. And I just can kind of relate to that, being in the zone of the music or being in the zone of the performance. Everything just gets shedded away. And that's kind of what it was for me. Right. You just didn't think about anything else except for the music and dancing. And I'll have to show you some of my.
Yet you refuse to show me some moves. So I'm just saying, I do believe your story, but there is part of me that,
The next time
I believe
the next time I'm out in Jersey or New York, I'll have to invite you. We'll go to the Brooklyn Mirage, and I'll show you some of my dance moves.
I just heard of this place.
Oh. Oh my gosh. So for my birthday last year, I took two of my friends with me to go see one of our resident DJs open up for Lane 8 and Le Youth, Lucy Tudor, phenomenal DJ. And I was completely blown away by the space. The design,
okay,
I mean,
we have to go. We
don't have nightclubs like that out here in Seattle on the West Coast. Maybe in LA. I've heard there's a lot of awesome clubs in LA, but maybe in San Francisco might have something similar, but I was just in one half of the Brooklyn Mirage. I call it the castle part, not the big warehouse part, the castle part, and how you get up. And I had never been to New York before. I've been there when I was a child, but never been to New York. And so when I got up to the top of one of these parapets or whatever, you're up at the top of this portion, and I look out and I'm looking out. I have my drink in my hand. And I'm looking like this, and the water's out there, and I'm like, oh, and I go like this, and I go, oh, that must be the end of Manhattan. And I go like this with my drink as I turn like this, and all of a sudden, all of Manhattan skyline just pops up right in front of me. I literally,
oh my God.
What the, whoa. And I looked down that one like, because I didn't know it looked out that way towards Manhattan. And I was like,
oh, yes. No, it's amazing.
I mean, yeah, I just
had a show at the World Trade Center. And I don't know if you ever taken the elevator going on the way up, where they have actually a virtual presentation of New York when you go up, and it's so up high, so your ears are going crazy. And you see they do a virtual presentation, and then you get there and you actually see the entire city. It's like, wow. So I was performing and looking at the view. I go, I live right there, it's like, and this is where, you start like saying everything. It's so cool.
Yeah, it wasn't until my dad grew up in Bridgeport, Connecticut. And so kind of grew up with the East Coast family in the sense of mentality, but had never been back East before. And it wasn't until we actually went to Central Park. I mean, actually, we got off at the train on 25th and I think walked up to Times Square. But when we went to Central Park and we're looking at the map of Central Park and realizing Central Park is 2.5 miles long, or I think it's 2.5 miles long and half a mile wide, or maybe 2 miles long. And I go, that's basically the whole downtown core area of Seattle. Like, you can fit downtown core of Seattle, like the shopping, like from our Space Needle to our stadiums, from Pike Place Market to the shopping district, and fit that into Central Park. And it just went, okay, I need to get out more. I need to travel more. I'm getting out more. So now we have trips planned to Europe. We're trying to trips to Bangkok for our brand and going fully international with the brand. But yeah, I would love to come out there and hang out with you. And I'll show you some of my dance moves at the Brooklyn Mirage.
It's a date. That's it.
Yeah, that works.
That's it. Done.
So going back to performing and doing events, have you ever felt scared when playing an event?
Should I?
I don't know. It's never just like, some artists I hear, they're like 5 minutes before a performance, they'll be like, and then it's showtime. It just clicks off and it's showtime. Let's go.
I have my own, not scared. So I am not scared of things that are under my control ever, because this is me. And it's like, you're getting on stage to do what doing best. So what, you're gonna forget how to talk? You're gonna what? I've been talking violin my entire life. So I'm not going to forget how to play the violin. It's not going to happen. But there are other things that could happen. I can break a string, and remember, I have only 4. So if I break one, I'm left with 3. Very, very bad. I can the sound system can go poof, and it happened. It happened to me in Madison Square Garden. It was one of the and this is an artist's nightmare. Their sound system just blew off. The sound system of the Madison Square Garden blew up in the middle of me playing the national anthem. It cannot get any worse than that. It just can't. So I don't remember what teams were there. I just remember it registers as a trauma, of course. I'm there in the middle of court, and I have amazing sound, and all of a sudden I have no sound. And everyone is silent because it was the national anthem. And then my soundman ran with a mic. I guess it was an alternate sound system, a backup. I don't even know what went wrong. Oh, Darren, it's one of those things that you hope to forget. And so I finished, and thank God a lot of people in the audience, they scream, "You got it, Miri, go Miri," and they were very supportive. And I was furious. I was like, come on, really, the national anthem takes what, like 4 minutes? I mean, couldn't you wait? Those speakers. But yeah, so it happens. Things like that happen. It really happens during shows. If it happens, I also learn to take it with grace, because I've seen people, not only artists, losing their I want to keep a clean version of
cool.
This.
Losing their cool.
Losing their cool on stage because the mic didn't work, or it's feeding back, and I try my best to make the best out of the experience. We're all in it together. It doesn't work. I cannot play. You cannot hear me. We're in it together. What can we do? This is it.
Yeah,
so,
I've had technical mishaps happen with some of the world's biggest names, and I'm just like, okay, what do? I just keep going through with it and pretend it happened, and later on say, the camera, the audio got something happened,
it happens.
But just keep running through with it, and like you said, wear it with grace, though.
You watch the Oscar. The famous slap. Look how it was handled. This is something to learn from. Really, one of the worst moments ever in the history of media, I think, and was handled with a lot of grace. As far as I was concerned as a viewer, I'm sure everyone feels the same.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Now, who's been the most inspiring person you've ever met backstage at an event? And tell us why that person has inspired you. What was inspirational about that?
It's funny you asked that. That would be Stevie Wonder. So he was backstage when I was performing, and he loved my performance. And he's my absolute idol. This guy is just, the music that comes out of him. This is, it is one of the people that influenced me most. And so when I heard that he was impressed by my playing, so they took me to backstage. It was in Radio City Hall, I believe. And it was what was it? It was a Viacom concert, I believe, or MTV or something like that. I don't remember. And so we went backstage, and they introduced me to him. They go, "This is Miri Ben-Ari, the violinist that just performed." And he came, he told me how much he loved my playing. And it was one of those moments where, you know, me being usually like, I think I froze. I did what you do, you know. I even when you look at our picture together, like I have a lot of picture with a lot of celebrities and people that I work with, and you know, and the picture with him, I look like I have this look like the disbelief, like, is this happening? And did I just meet Stevie Wonder? Did he just listen to me? Did he just tell me how much he loved my playing? I just couldn't. It was too big for me to comprehend at the time. So I was like in disbelief. I was like out of body experience. So you can see it in the picture. It's hilarious.
Yeah, I've met a few people over my time of doing this, and the biggest one for me, I remember I was a kid. It had nothing to do with this show, but we were riding around in the limousine. Funny story. We're riding on a limousine through Seattle, and the Final Four were in town. And I called to the limo driver. I said, "Hey, we need to go stop somewhere and go to the bathroom. We got 12 people in the back. We've been partying and drinking in the back. We need to go somewhere." So he hits me back on the phone and says, "Hey, I'm going to take you to a really fancy place. So all of you have to behave when I take you to this place." So he takes us to the Four Seasons Hotel.
In LA?
In Seattle.
In Seattle, okay.
And he pulls up to the back door of the Four Seasons, because there's like a small back entrance where all the valet everything comes in, and there's the front main entrance, like the big grandiose where you come in with your car and go that entrance. Well, we pull up in the back, and we're getting out, and we're all walking to go to this back door of the hotel. And we go to walk in the back door, and there was a guard, kind of a security lady at the door. She goes, "I'm sorry, you can't go in." I look and I go, "I'm sorry, our limousine's right there. We're going in here to get into the place." And she goes, "Oh, okay, you have a limo. You must be staying here or something." I'm like, "Yeah, of course we are." No, we weren't. So as we're walking in, and we're walking up this set of stairs, maybe like 10 stairs, I see all these people standing, and they're holding comp cards. And on the comp cards, it's a picture of Jack Nicholson. And when they had held us back at first, there was a group, like a little entourage that come in front of us, and we got to go in right behind that entourage. I start realizing all these people are saying, Jack, 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 Jack. And they're trying to get his autograph. And I go, "Am I standing right behind Jack Nicholson right now?" I'm like, I am. So we walk into the place, and he's not paying attention to anyone. We walk into the lobby of the Four Seasons, and I go, "Excuse me, Mr. Nicholson." He doesn't say anything. I go, "Excuse me, Mr. Nicholson." And he turns around. I go, "Excuse me, Mr. Nicholson, can I just shake your hand?" And he goes, "Sure." And he hands his hand out like this. And then we proceed to do this handshake where we shake hands like this. We did something with our hands, totally pulled it off and pulled out and went like that to each other. He takes off his glasses and goes, "Take it easy, kid. You're going to go far." Puts his glasses on and walks to the elevator, doesn't talk to anyone else. And I went, and the lobby had opened up, like a good 300-400 people had opened up around the circle around us. And I'm just standing there going, did that just really happen? Like, I just froze for a moment. Like you said, you froze. Yeah, we didn't have cell phones. We didn't have cameras. We didn't have anything that can do that. And I was like, that was really crazy. And, you know, so I totally know that. And Jack was such a huge, an actor that I just love so much, you know. I'm growing up and watching him, you know, and so I can understand what I'm trying to relate to here is that moment when you kind of freeze and you get that, like, it was really happening.
That was, you see, I'm not that groupie, you know, type at all.
Neither am I.
But Stevie, I learned music from him. This is different, you know. Yeah. I played his music a lot, you know, in my jazz time. I played his songs. So I analyzed his songs, you know, the chord progressions. It's a whole different experience. It didn't come from me meeting him. It came from the respect that I had for his art. I mean, I met countless number of very famous people, not only in music, different presidents, you know, I mean, so many. And
just presidents, you know, they're just like,
yeah, I mean, you know what I'm saying? He was the only one where I just couldn't believe it. That's just because the impact that he had on me as a musician. So this is where it came from. I don't really have any groupie. No, man, it's not. No, otherwise I wouldn't be able to work with so many people. I mean, I work with so many people. You know, there's people. They're cool people.
Yeah.
They're very cool people. The people that I've worked with.
That's the one thing that I see a lot in the industry, in the early ranks, or when people are coming up, is that ego that gets in their head. And again, working with and talking with some of the most famous people in the world, and they're so cool, so nice, so like you, so nice, so cool, we were talking an hour pretty much before the interview began about business and tech and all that fun stuff. And it's like
our nerdy world,
a nerdy world of cool stuff. And you know, and that may be a side that people don't know about Miri and don't know about Darren. And here we're just picking up. You know, that's the cool stuff about it, that you can just meet somebody and have a talk and then find that you have similar interests, and they talk about their similar interests and you get excited about the similar interests, you know. And speaking about interests and things of being kind of discovered or
amen to what you just said. Was awesome. Continue. I'm just still waiting.
Have you ever visited a far country away from home where you were surprised people actually knew all your music?
Let me think. Well, many countries actually. I mean, the music that I've done got to be very commercial. Mm-hmm. You know, one of my very first recording was on Alicia Keys' Falling. So, you know, I think my very first commercial recording was Alicia Keys' Falling. Yeah, pretty much. So, yeah, I mean, people now that the world is even smaller because of digital media, you know, I get messages from all over the world, you know, of how from different people that, you know, are so happy to connect with me and to see me and see my social media. I started doing my social media during COVID. I have to tell you, I was not a social media person. But, you know, again, we had time. So at Miri Ben-Ari really took a different phase during COVID. And it was fun. I still need to step up my game on that. I'm so busy, you know, Darren, you cannot just be doing so many things, you know? I mean, people are so much into their social media, and social media is important. But I'm most of the time I'm either performing or I'm creating beats, you know. I have a production company and we produce commercial music, and, you know, social media is time consuming. So I'd rather be that artist that is being streamed than doing the funny stuff on. So, I mean, if I could, I would have been everything, but it's just hard, you know, it's hard to choose. So it's challenging doing so much. And as I told you, I'm an entrepreneur and I like a lot of other things. So it's very hard to find the time for everything. It's challenging.
It is. And I definitely can relate to that, where my organization was kind of a one-man shop. I was running everything for years. I worked with a lot of DJs and artists, but I was doing all of it myself. And it wasn't until about a year and a half ago that I branched out and got my first virtual assistant in 2020. And now I have another, and that's out of New York. He's out of New York. I got another virtual assistant out of Thailand now. I have another person I work with that does PR and artist relations for me out of the UK. I'm bringing on another virtual assistant here locally. I have a developer that lives in Germany. You know.
Oh yeah, I have teams too. Yeah. But you still need to provide social media content. It's you. I mean, you know, no one else can replace you. You know, that's the bottom line.
It was one thing to run a Facebook campaign or a Twitter campaign or even an Instagram campaign where it's text and pictures.
Right.
But now with the advent of TikTok and video coming into play, you can't have somebody you can have somebody maybe make a montage video of you, but you can't have somebody do your video for you on your phone and send it and upload it. You have to do it yourself. unless you make the video and then you send it off to them and then they do it for you. But you still have to make the video. And TikToks can be really time consuming. Take it from a guy who makes cooking videos on TikTok.
There you go. Cooking videos are very, very involved right now. They really put a lot of editing into cooking videos.
I mean, if I'm cooking, I'll probably shoot 30 pictures and make 7 videos. And then and that's throughout the whole, while I'm cooking.
It's insane.
It's like somebody else is cooking and then I'm shooting and doing this in the background. And then I still have to wait till the whole thing's completed so I can show the final dish.
Yes. No, I know. Trust me. Sometimes I watch cooking videos on TikTok. It's to learn some tips, you know, and it's entertaining too. So it's cool. I'm a good cook, by the way. I can cook. So
you got me. I love food. I love eating food. I love preparing food, making food. I don't go for the fancy style dishes though. I could if I wanted to make the presentation of the dishes. And I've worked in 5-star restaurants back in the past, one 5-star restaurant. So I understand about the art of presentation and presenting it to the table and making it look all great. I could do all that, but at the end of the day, I'm like, I know this is going to taste good. I know this is going to taste good. I know this is going to taste good. I'll plate it and it'll look okay on the plate, but I'm not going to like fancy it up because it's going to be in my belly in 5 seconds.
Exactly.
It's like,
I'm the same way. I'm like, it tastes good. It's good. But it's so nice when the presentation is nice. You're right.
Yeah.
There are like 2 ways of looking at it. Yeah. I'm going to watch your cooking videos now.
They're funny. Okay.
Let's see what you got.
At least I laugh at them. So I get one audience member, right? I get one. Yay. Thank you. Hey, a couple last questions before we let you get going here. If you could put one non-famous person in the spotlight who means a lot to you, other than your direct family and friends, who would that be and why?
Oh, wow. What a tricky question. Why don't you give it to my office before we start this interview? This is something I need to think about. One non-famous person that I would like to ask, because most of the people that I would like to ask questions because they already got to, they got some publicity. This is how I got to know them. And a lot of people I got to ask questions. This is a question that I need to ask you because you're the one doing all these interviews. I love talking to my dad. My dad is he really answered this description. He's non-famous, very grounded person, intellectual. He knows so much. It's insane. I have actually few friends. I love intellectual people. I love talking to people that know a lot, read a lot, explore, like to learn, don't think they know everything. You're like, yeah. And it's just so interesting to speak to those people. Actually, my best friends, are a group of people that are not famous. I have my famous friends and colleagues too, but my brother and sisters, they would care less if I stop playing the violin and being a celebrity tomorrow. They just love me for who I am. And I just love having conversation with them because they're so smart. They're not famous. They don't even have social media. And it just so much to learn from in different fields, from technology to literature to philosophy. It just, my brother is like that too. But my brother is not an unknown person. He's a concert pianist, and he's done a lot of things. He also co-produced with me Symphony of Brotherhood, and my album on Universal, the Hip Hop Violinist. So, but yeah, I like smart people that are not necessarily famous.
Yeah, it's good to have friends like that. I recently, I guess 5 years ago, met a group of people and started developing some new friendships with people that were not in the entertainment industry. Yeah. And they've become some of my closest personal friends, and I just love them dearly. So, and we have some
You can
amazing
relate.
conversations, and
Right.
I don't feel that, you know, they're not friends with me because of what I do. They're friends with me because
Who
of
you are.
who I am.
Right.
You know, and there's a lot of
That's
encouragement
awesome.
and positivity there. And you know, I miss them. I need to go hang out with them more.
Yeah.
More often.
Yeah. Yeah. You definitely need to nourish this friendship, because
Absolutely.
this is the friendship that is here to stay.
Absolutely. A couple last questions though. If Hollywood made a movie about your life, who would you pick as the main actor?
Well, let me have some breaking news. So we are making a movie about my life, and
There we go.
so you have to wait and see what happens, I guess.
All right, we heard it here first.
I cannot give more than that. So
NDAs are a wonderful thing.
that don't work in the DJ sessions interviews, but yeah.
Awesome. Well, you know, is there anything else you want to let our DJ Sessions fans know about before we let you get going to doing some awesome and amazing stuff?
Well, first of all, I had an awesome time speaking to you before and during the interview. You can ask me any questions and get in touch with me via social media platform at Miri Ben-Ari. It's MiriBenari. On my website, and now that the market is open again, I cannot even tell you how thrilled I am to performing live. This has been I just couldn't take it anymore. So being on stage and seeing live people, I mean, I like the virtual Zoom concert. It was very nice. I've done quite a few galas, and it was a nice experience, but there's nothing that, you know, replaces the connectivity of being with people. Whether it's in person or metaverses, or which is also a possibility we're working on. So yeah, I cannot tell you how excited I am to see people again and to connect with music, you know, via TED Talks or music. And not a lot of people know how deep I am in production. So I'm a programmer. You already got a sense I'm a complete nerd. I love software, hardware, and everything that has to do with computer. And so, yeah, I have a production group, and we're programming, recording beats all day. And we send them to other artists and to, you know, TV and movies and whoever needs music. So I love doing that. I love, you know, it's not only composing, it's the programming part, which is, I think, part of why I got to be featured in so many commercial songs. It wasn't only the violin, it's my understanding of the programming, the production world. So it's something we didn't get to touch up on. So this is something that I would like to share. It's, again, the combination of world. It's the music and technology and the ability to merge them into one happy song.
And you mentioned getting out back, going on tour, being back out in the public. Do you have any Seattle dates or maybe Phoenix, Arizona dates coming up?
Seattle? No, I don't have any Seattle dates, but maybe you're going to put together a Seattle date for me.
We are getting into the booking business here now that we're partnered with a few different places, and that would be awesome. I would.
Yeah, I'm not too familiar with Seattle, to be honest with you. I'm familiar with the other Seattle, but not the Seattle where you're located. Yeah.
There's another Seattle?
Well, yeah, there are quite a few Seattles, actually. Yeah, let's go with that.
All right, cool. I'll have to look that up. But Miri, once again, where can people find out more information about you and what you got going on?
MiriBenari.com. Yeah, I'm all over in social media, so we are always keeping things updated. And of course, this interview was really great. I had a great time. Get to know you, and yeah, I'm looking forward to the next one.
Absolutely. We will definitely be following up with you here in the near future. We plan to stay in touch with all of our artists that come on the show and follow their careers on how far they go. And it's going to be a pleasure having you come back on, because there was a lot that we left off the table that I know I want to be talking to you about, especially production, your companies, and your production company, and AfroStringz. We'll get that next time, though.
Oh, we didn't get to talk about. Okay, so the next one we have to talk about African music that is getting very, very big in the US. So it's a big conversation.
Absolutely. Yeah. We'll make sure that happens, Miri. Thank you so much for coming on the DJ Sessions.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. On that note, don't forget to go to our website, thedjsessions.com. Find us on TikTok, find us on Instagram, find us on Twitter, the Meta, Facebook, whatever you want to call it, thedjsessions.com. This is Darren coming to you from Seattle, Washington, and Miri Ben-Ari coming in from New Jersey for the DJ Sessions presents the virtual sessions. And remember, on the DJ Sessions, the music never stops.